Well, this looks like the beginning of something. We shall see. Whoa. What's up, everybody? It's Friday. Oh, lordy, it's a Friday. What's going on here? Why am I all red looking? Hold on, let me adjust. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm all super red looking. There we go. Whoa. There we go. Now I look slightly normal, like I normally do. There we go. Oh, maybe. No. Whoa. Okay. That's the beginning of the show, and it's exciting, everybody. I know. That's an exciting beginning of the show, and I'm glad to have been part of it. Thanks for coming out today. It's a Friday. It's a beautiful, lovely Friday outside, and there is no sun out there. So, that's a thing. There's not any sun yet, and I don't know where my chat went. So, there's the beginning of the show. There's the chat right over there. Let's see who is here today. Michael Sarr is here. Jared Byers here. Big D Smoke. James Leiser, Jake D663, Randall Bowman, what's up? Nathan Alexander, Bracken, Ricardo Santiago was first to the chat today. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. I know, we do the early show on Friday, and I know that has become confusing to some people, and the times change around here, which is confusing to some people. Okay, I get it. Turn on your notifications, hit the subscribe, blah, 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 do all of that kind of stuff. And guess what? Hopefully you get a notification. Hopefully you do. Hopefully you get one. Fix your phone, fix your email, fix your whatever, and get it to send the notification to you and allow it to send a notification to you, and you will probably get it. But as you guys know, I don't necessarily... post the show stuff way ahead of time. I do it normally a couple of hours ahead of time, but I'm here on Mondays, I'm here on Fridays, and of course, you can always watch this on the replay. You can watch all the other videos on the replays, and that's how it works. It gets recorded, and then you just go to YouTube whenever you feel like it and watch videos about whatever you want. You could watch videos about just any old thing. I see Johan out there. What's up, buddy? Good to see you online, and hope to see you in person again someday. Someday, I have to go all the way to the Netherlands. Oh, my phone's blowing up. What is happening right now? Yeah, okay. We'll address that at a later date. That seems to be like something that is not a pressing issue at the very moment right now. Rumbust is here with a super chat. Long time no super chat. Following through on keeping up with my sobriety date. Thank you, my guy. I don't know how he keeps track of it. I don't know how he does it. But today is 2040 days. So we got 2040 Swedish kroner. Coming in hot and fresh on a super chat and keeping track and knowing what's going on, which is wild. But, hey, thank you very much. I appreciate the support, Rumbus. He says, got to leave to pick up my son, but we'll be able to listen most of the time. Well, thanks. That's good to know. I noticed that 54 Punchy has posted that today is Patreon Day. That's right. If you posted into my Patreon page on the community tab, we will be reviewing those very shortly. Very shortly, we will be addressing those and talking about those and answering any possible questions that could be in there, or at least just discussing what the content is all about. Yeah, I'm noticing that our very first will be from Randall Bowman, who was in the chat. So, hey, thanks for being a patron, and thanks for being in the chat. Cha-ching. That's how that works, right? People have asked, what is Patreon? Patreon is a third-party website which helps us, fund some of our goals. And I know that is confusing to some people because they're like, hey, what's the goal? Like, you trying to get a Lamborghini or something? No. I don't care about fancy cars. I drive a super old car. I drive an old truck, actually. But let me, I forgot to screen capture this earlier. But everything on my Patreon is public. So you guys can check it out if you like, and you can take a look, and you can go, hey, maybe that guy's worth $1 a month, or maybe he's not. And that's kind of the thing about Patreon. That's how we're kind of funding all these projects, all these videos and stuff like that. I've sort of just made good on the first goal here of committing to a fully edited weekly video. As you guys know, I post edited videos. Maybe they're not super fancy. Maybe they're not super wild. And you're like, oh, wow, like there's somebody up in the mountains shooting the glaciers with their camera or something like that. I get it. But I do kind of make good on that promise, even though we haven't really hit that goal. But people have wondered, like, what's the $2,500 a month thing? And that's basically so that I can iron out enough time to be able to edit, shoot videos, make the content, pay for the internet, pay for software. The video editing software costs about $600 a year. To have good software, whether you use Adobe or anything, it's going to cost you about $50 a month. And I buy it outright so that at least I own the software. So worst case scenario down the road, I still have the software. Whereas like Adobe Premiere and stuff like that, you're basically renting the usage of it. So, that's a perfect example of like, why does this stuff cost money? And it's like, well, I have to buy the software every year. Otherwise you're just out of date. Things don't work right. And software costs a lot of money to make. So, but I pretty much I do my best to at least have a weekly edited video out to you guys about something. Last night I put out a video unboxing some plants from Buse Plant, if you guys are familiar with that website or not, just to kind of share my experience and give the subscribers and the fans and stuff like that a heads up of what plants I get in. I try to make those videos whenever I get a box of plants in, like what's the plant, what's going on, why did I get it, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. And also, I feel like at the very least, if people maybe have the same plant or didn't want to get it or could get it around the same time, I try to make those as timely as possible so people can kind of follow along. Today's video segment during the show will be about the Amania gracilis. I did a bit of an update. We've converted it from immersed grown, aka above the water line, to submerged grown, and this is kind of like the first trimming and replanting to kind of show you guys during the live stream here sort of how that works. Now, anyhow, our next goal is this is the goal for independent creation. It means that I'd be able to do realistically pay the bills, all that kind of stuff, and just continue to just make stuff all of the time, and basically spend my work week making content for you guys. So that's pretty much that goal, to just be like, yep, that's enough income after paying all the taxes and stuff to, get the mortgage paid and all that kind of stuff and keep going. Now, this shop space is a little bit confusing because I've regularly spoken about how this is the creator space. The creator space is kind of confusing to people, but the creator space that the maker space, creator space, whatever you want to call it, we are trying to get essentially a commercial space where we could put aquariums in, film them, do the live streams from, do tutorials and stuff like that, and it would be a place that actual people could come visit and stuff. So maybe at some point in time we do some, hot dog cookouts or, very small meetups and stuff like that, which is normally one of the problems with, watching and getting content on YouTube is that you rarely get to actively see many of those things in person, especially in the aquarium hobby, the fish fam, YouTube fam, whatever you want to call it. That stuff's not really accessible to the public very often, especially in the U.S., where we have very kind of limited conventions and things like that. And that's kind of the space for that. And hey, if we're going to fund it, we could fund it. If not, then we won't. But the hope is that we do. And then, of course, the final goal is sort of a joke where I will, if we hit this goal right here, which is insane, I do not ever expect to make this kind of money ever doing anything ever. But if we do, I will put in a 20,000-gallon aquarium. And yes, I get it. That's literally in there as a joke, which is the, I got to, what's this one right here? What's that one? Oh, that's a different window I had there. But that's why I have, let me remove that one and let me create a new one. Screen capture, smart selection. We'll go over here to the tiers. There. Let me bring this over here, and let's make it the same size, right? We'll just put it right over top. Oh no, it's all long. Oh no, that's fine. You guys get what's going on here. So this is the tiers off of Patreon. It's mildly confusing, right? It's just really mildly confusing. You could be $1 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month. We have a $100 a month tier, which actually there's only 2 spots left. Only 2 spots that people could be getting in there. So get in while there's only 2 spots left. And then this is pretty much the joke one right here. This is the joke one, the independently wealthy investor at $15,000 a month. You could go buck wild. And it's enough money for me to just fly out to your house and come help you for like a week. I'm just saying that's airfare, hotel, blah, 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 right? That one's literally up there as a joke. Same reason for the $26,000 a month. I would never have the expectation that I'd ever hit that. It's just literally up there as a joke. And some people get jokes and some people don't. Whether that, but sometimes people just need to be explained the joke, right? Let's be done with talking about crap like that. Let's remove these from there. But I just wanted to give you guys a quick explanation of what Patreon's all about. You guys can always just check it out and see what's going on over there whenever you feel like it. Let me go. I have to go back to this window and then... Where did my screen capture go? I had this screen captured, right? Let me see what I got here. What happened to my screen capture? That's the shrimp. We don't want to get rid of that. Let's remove this. That's our arrow. We got to keep the arrow. Remove. We don't need this. Remove. We don't need that. Remove. Man, I had this done ahead of time. I don't know where it went. I don't know. It seems to have disappeared, so let's make a new one. We shall overcome. It's Friday. There's always going to be hiccups on Friday, though, guys. Come on. You know how that goes. It's Friday. We need to click this button. Yes. There we go. Let's just go let's just put it right here. There we go. Cool. All right, so our first post of the week comes in from Randall Bowman, who gave us Select Aquatics sells the Pleco caves that he uses. Hey, thank you very much. It's contextual to what was going on in our conversation when I was online just a while ago. I forget which show that was. I have no idea. And, who knows if I'll ever have a clue as to what was going on. But, hold on, I'm checking this out on my other screen over here. I don't know why it's doing this red line down the middle. Do you guys have a red line down the middle? I have a red line down the middle. Yeah, and it's over there, too. Huh. I have no idea what this red line is all about. Oh, I guess I'll just put it. I guess I'll put this behind or in front of the red line. I guess. Okay. Maybe I'll move some of these. Maybe I'll move me around and I'll put this in front of that red line because that's the most annoying thing I've ever seen. A brilliant red line there, and I'll just put me over here in the corner. I'll be like, nobody puts baby in the corner. Why is there a red line there? What is that all about? And it's displaying over there too, right? I don't know. Does everybody else have this weird red line? Yeah, I would imagine that everybody has this red line because it's showing up over on the other computer over here. Well, that's annoying. I don't know what that is. And Jeanette has the red line, and Jerry has a red line, and David has a red line. Everybody has a red line. What is that all about? Hold on a minute. I'm going to see what this is about. Sorry for interrupting the show, but I don't know what this red line is all about, and I got to figure out what it's all about. No, it's not in that. Is it in the microphone? No. Oh. It's in this file. This file has a red line. That is just utterly annoying. Well, I guess we'll just... No, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this in the middle, right? Let's go like this. Oh, who's this little guy over here? Let's put that guy over there. And then we'll go like this. And we'll just act like the red line is just a part of the thing. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know what that's about. I don't know what that red line's about. I'm going to have to figure that out at some point in time, but... Oh, man, that's annoying. Anyhow, Randall Bowman sent this in. Select Aquatics has a Pleco Caves. You could definitely check those out if you feel like it. I know that Corey mentioned to me that Aquarium Co-op also has the has some Pleco Caves there that you guys could check out if you like. And it was part of the conversation of I was like, I don't know where I'm going to get Pleco Caves. But Select Aquatics seems to have some really good ones. Aquarium Co-op seems to have some really good ones. I haven't found any on Amazon that even look necessarily even legit, realistically. Some of them looked all right. Some of them looked maybe suspect. Let me see. Pleco Caves. I looked this up just the other day. Yeah, like some of these look all right. The terracotta plant waterers, I know that Alyssa swears by those, that those are fantastic. Let's see. UXL orange ceramic hiding shelter for plecos. Here we go. So here's those terracottas that that Alyssa swears by. She thinks that they're like the greatest. And that might be the best deal because that's like, what, 4 of them? Yeah, set of 4 for $15 and free 1-day shipping. So maybe I'll order that up and give one to Vicky and keep 3 for myself, and then act like here's a Christmas present, but it's not really a Christmas present. You know? Like, I got you this one terracotta waterer deal. Oh, my God. The Fish Tank Barn with a $5 super chat says the Thin Red Line Elimination Fund. I don't know. Yeah, don't ask me what that red line is about. I'm going to have to figure that out. That has somehow popped up in my display over here, and I don't know what it is. I think we're just going to have to live with it because I can't keep having this be in the center of the screen. That's driving me nuts. Anyhow, I don't know. It's probably got something to do with my new graphics card that seems to be working swell, except for sometimes when it's not working well. I don't know. We're currently only running 20% of it, though. So why would it be displaying a red line? I don't know. But I do have another display cable that I'm going to swap it with. I think that might be what's going on. Because I have some stuff going DisplayPort and I have some stuff going HDMI, and I think that's what's happening. But I don't know. until I try it. So we'll find out. There's some, okay, so I got that in there, and then Randall's got those, but yeah, you could check those out, Select Aquatics. But Randall sends this in, the Daughter's Goldfish tank, and I don't like how this is sizing up. I'm going to recapture this. Smart selection, screen capture. Oh, no, hold on. Cancel that order. Okay. I'm going to go over here to this screen and make it bigger. Okay. All right. Hold on. Hold on. Now I got to figure out where that went. There it is. Remove, add source, screen capture, smart selection. Yes. Let's go like this. I'm going to resize this thing, guys. I didn't like how small it was showing up. Let's make it big. Whoosh. Yeah. There we go. Now, if I click this button, it'll show up, and it's bigger. There we go. I like that. That's much bigger. All right. All right, that looks better. I'm more comfortable with this now. But as you guys can see, I go through and hit the like button on the show so that people will know when I hit the like button. They'll be able to, like, go check the show at, like, it's 12:26 right now. So somewhere around 26 minutes is going to talk about my post, right? And that's Randall, and he'll be able to reference when that happened. This is his Daughter's Goldfish tank, which I got to admit, I don't know how old your daughter is. If your daughter's anywhere between the ages of 3 and 30, I would say that this is a pretty good tank. This is a nice goldfish tank. It has a good amount of green algae going in it, which is important for goldfish. I don't know if y'all subscribe to that, but I do. I subscribe to the green algae for the goldfish. It really helps them out a lot. So, yeah, I would definitely go for that. Bracken says, some quick research says to deactivate demo mode within video settings. Whew. That might be it. I was changing some video settings, but I don't know if I should do that midstream or just live with the red line for a bit. So I'm thinking we're just going to have to live with the red line because I'm assuming if I change any video settings during the stream, it's going to boot us and then chaos. And then it's just sweet chaos if we do that. So let's not do that. But this goldfish tank looks great. It's got a Buddha in it. Very important. It's got a pineapple living under the sea with the guy who lives in the pineapple under the sea, which is perfect for a kid's tank. I think the only thing that I would personally want is more plants, but boy howdy is that crazy difficult for anybody to pull off with a goldfish tank. It's difficult to really do a planted tank because goldfish are voracious. They're voracious little goldfish monsters. Even though we love them, they are voracious and they will eat everything. The next post here is from Kevin's Aquarium. Says, here's my second tank with the North American fish in it. This tank was also showed at Vivarium. I think I only saw this tank for like a hot second when I was at Vivarium. I wish that there was I wish that there was a point in time where I really got to spend time with like all of the stuff at Vivarium, but there was a lot of stuff there, and we didn't have a ton of time because we were trying to film it all, trying to document everything. But I'm digging this, and I was happy to see like how many North American tanks were at Vivarium. It's kind of wild when you like go overseas and then you see like North American stuff. Like people are like really excited and zazzed about their North American stuff, and I'm like, where's the European stuff? Where's the Asian stuff? Where's the South American stuff? Like, I'm tired of North American stuff. I don't want to be around and see any of that. But then you realize like, oh man, this is a global hobby, and a lot of people are super stoked for stuff that I'm not normally super excited about. Everybody says What is it? Wet up to the armpits. Johnson says red line. Check video cable connection or port settings. Yes, I'm just realizing that during the show that that red line had popped up, and it had popped up the other day, and I had gotten it sorted, but now I don't have it sorted. I'm gonna have to sort that after the show because it's probably gonna kick us off if I try to unplug anything during the show, right? So we're just going to have to deal with our red line situation. But it clearly has to do with some kind of port display coming from displaying the video. So obviously it's connected to that. So that will make my hunt and repair super tedious, I'm sure, but it will also give me a direction of what's going on. 54 Punchy says, oddest thing just happened. Mailman left a box on my porch. Couldn't open the door without it falling off the porch, so I stepped back in, slipped my shoes on to step out and get it. In half a minute, it was back up on the porch in the front door again. You've got ghosts. And by the way, I've got ghosts here too. Vicky, so I went to take Olivia to daycare earlier today and then run some errands in the early morning. And Vicky is not feeling well. I have a cold too. Everybody's got a cold again because daycare baby, this little daycare baby right here keeps going to daycare and then comes home with a cold and gives it to us. And that just keeps happening. So, Vicky is actually home today, but so I got home from all that at like 8:30 and Vicky was like, did you come home earlier? Like after... She's like, did you drop Olivia off and then come back and then leave again and then come back? And I was like, no. And she was like, I heard somebody come into the house and talk to the dogs and stuff. I thought somebody was here. And I was like, clearly the ghost activity was off the charts this morning and today. So if you're freaked out about ghosts or whatever, today's probably the day. You'll be able to get them on film. They seem super active. But I just told Vicky that it was a lot of ghosts and she should be super scared. That was my resolution. And then I did nothing. But I did check. We checked all the security cameras, and no one was here. And we didn't capture the ghost either, which is unfortunate because they probably came in through the wall where we don't have a camera, even though we do have umpteen million cameras around here. Sunwise sends in this post. This is the Japan and Indian rice fish, which I got to admit, a couple of years ago, rice fish weren't even on my radar till I started hanging out with Corey from Aquarium Co-op, and then it seems like rice fish are all the rage, whereas I'm still like this old school guy who's like, well, if you want to fish outside, you get to White Cloud Mountain Minnow. That's going to be the Jammy McJammerton. But everybody seems to be doing rice fish now, which is fantastic because I've had contact with them. I really like those little fish. They breed pretty well. They're great pond inhabitants. So I'm all for it. Seems like it seems like they were not all that prevalent a while ago, but now they seem to be prevalent, which is, in my opinion, a good thing. Let's see. Oh, today is Friday the 13th. It must be ghost time. Oh, that is a great point from the Zen Ginger. It's Friday the 13th. Oh, I should have done a spooky show, right? Yeah, I should have done a spooky show. I don't know. It seems like a little over the top to be doing a spooky Friday the 13th aquarium-related fish tank show live stream. I don't know. That seems like a bit much, right? Yeah, that would be weird. It's we just had Halloween anyhow. We're all fine. We're good. The ghosts won't eat us. It's 2 weeks until Christmas, so it's a little bit weird to be doing Friday the 13th while everybody's thinking about Christmas, which is crazy to think that it's December 13th already and Christmas is 12 days away. Oh, today's the first. It's like the 12 days of Christmas start today. Maybe I should have done that. Should have been like, On the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me. What is it? If you ever wondered what the scales of a guppy look like at 6,000 times magnification under a scanning electron microscope, to me, right? On the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me an image of a guppy fry scale, magnified at 6,000 times magnification under electron microscope. No, it doesn't have that ring of the partridge in a pear tree. On the first day of Christmas, I was on Patreon, and I looked at Alex Aquarium's science post. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Alex Aquarium has an electron microscope, right? Guppy scales. So this is one of those things that, so Johan and I actually, we late night busted into his work. I swear, I've been editing that video, and I don't know what to do about it. I'm reshooting some of the intro parts to make fun of myself because I am so tired and jet lagged in that video that I'm reshooting some scenes to explain it and make fun of it. So we'll see how that comes out. The Netherlands stuff will be coming out over the Christmas break, because I will not be here. I will not be on the internet the 23rd, 24th, and 25th because that is the Christmas holiday. And so I'm scheduling all of the Netherlands videos to come out like the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th in that window there. So prepare yourself for a Christmas onslaught of our Netherlands adventures. And to anybody out there that's like, hey, I want you to be able to edit that stuff faster and have more time to be able to put into that, yeah, that's why we're highlighting the Patreon today, and that's pretty much how that happens. And, you know, I want to say thanks to all the people that, like, watch the videos and stuff like that, and I appreciate that support, and that does matter, right? I'm never turning aside just people being a fan and wanting to engage. That's all good. But this literally, like, it's 2019. I don't know how to avoid paying bills. I wish there was a way that I could just, like, make food and eat the food, you know, and make videos and stuff. But back then they didn't have videos. Videos didn't exist. No one would have known what you were talking about. I would have been broadcasting into dead air if I somehow had all the equipment back in, like, what, 1700s, 1800s? I guess you could definitely have just existed in the 1800s, and you've been like, I'm just here. I live here. What? But not these days. Some kind of tax man will show up and take the house away. Went up to my armpits. I got my early birthday present. 2 Fresh and Plant 3.0s. Ooh. 2 of these over a 40-gallon too much. It might be too much, but I would just turn them down. They have the app. You can turn it down. You don't have to don't run them at 100%. You know, and there's no reason to. 40-gallon with 2 of them over it. I have 2 over 150-gallon, and that's plenty of light. My collectoritis, my big 150-gallon collectoritis tank is actually smaller than this tank in the video back here, but that collectoritis tank has 2 Fluval Fresh and Plant 3.0s, whatever they're called, over that, and that's plenty. So 2 over a 40-gallon is going to be a lot. So, yeah, Alex Aquarium Science, I was wondering what the scales of a guppy fry look like at 6,000 times magnification under the electron microscope. But now we all know. And we can all, like, screenshot it. I'm pretty entranced by the reality that, there we go. I hearted it. I'm pretty entranced by the electron microscope not being able to show color, but I don't know the reason for it, why it doesn't show color. I bet there's like some kind of app for color if you wanted to see it, right? I don't know. It's always in like the gray, the black and white and gray. Tales from the Man Cave sends us in and says, "Hey there, everybody. I spotted some thus unknown to me eggs on plant leaves in my largest tank recently. Only thing new to the tank are some bleeding heart tetras I got about a month ago. Could they be theirs?" And I forget, Alex, yeah, it was Alex posted, said, "I've seen my tetra spawn, and their eggs are minuscule compared to what you have going on there." And I 100% agree with that, unless you have some tiny micro tiny Anubias, and this is like some crazy macro lens that I don't know about, that you're like right in there, super close, taking the shot, and those happen to be tetra eggs, but seems doubtful to me. Unsure. I'm just unsure what these are, other than excluding things that I know that it isn't. They don't look like tetra eggs to me. Unsure. Probably, my guess with little globules like this is typically snail eggs. Like it could be like some snail egg deposit that just looks kind of funny. That's normally my go-to, is like, oh, the snails have been doing something over here. All right. You snaily McSnailertons. It's Friday the 13th. We don't need no ghost snails dropping off no weird deposits, right? Wait, tell the snails to wait till tomorrow. It's too creepy. It's just too creepy for today, because we got the ghosts running around. We got all the spooky things happening because it's, you know, that guy, Freddy Krueger, he's going to come get us or something. I'm not 100%. The Bureau of Advanced Organic Fish Culture from a.k.a. Preston John. If you guys don't know who Preston John is, he's an awesome dude down in Arizona. He's the guy who breeds the Scoutadeni, the Scoutadeni puffers, and amongst a bunch of other fish. He does a bunch of cool stuff. You should definitely check it out. You should definitely order some little freshwater puffers from him. I got one, and probably my favorite fish. So I you know, his obsession is, it makes sense. It makes sense to be obsessed. There wasn't anybody breeding those fish realistically. Preston is just one of the few people on Earth that's doing it. You could probably count on both hands. It's probably less than 10 people are actually breeding them. Although I do know one of the German guys that we actually toured the German facility that's breeding him. But he's got a potential fish room name. And does anybody have thoughts? So BAOP. So BOAOP. So BAOP. So it would be BAOP, right? So if we got the acronym, right, it'd be BAOP. The BAOP, the Bureau of Advanced Organic Fish Culture. But he's got a Pisces culture or something. I can't really say this out loud because I'm going to get super demonetized, but I don't know how to pronounce that anyhow. And I always mispronounce everything. And that's probably the most comment-heavy thing I get from on my YouTube channel is like, man, you don't even know how to pronounce that. And it's like, all right, man, I live in Western Washington. There's not really anybody out here pronouncing stuff. You try to look up files online of like how to pronounce something, and they're impossible to find. So if somebody was really cool out there and a super good scientist or whatever, or an etymologist or whatever, you could probably have some YouTube fame by making some how to pronounce videos, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? Uh-oh, somebody's asking about this logo. Oh, Tori says that's a very nice logo. It is. It's a nice logo, I have to admit. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that logo, except for The fish is getting all weird, I think, in the shape here. I probably would have gone back. And considering that big blow up from the H2O plants guy, he'll probably think that you're stealing his logo. I don't know if you guys remember that from the Real Fish Talk when that dude like freaked out and said that Corey stole his logo. I bet, watch out. That guy might freak out and say that you're stealing his logo because it's green and blue. This also from Preston John says hatched in December 5th, 2019. It says just hatched some Tetraodon Scootidenni puffer under a microscope. I learned new things with each spawn. What did I learn this time? They're only 2 millimeters. Baby brine shrimp are 0.5 millimeters. They have a yolk sac that only lasted 48 hours-ish. I know that they spawned really small, but I didn't realize that they were that small. That's pretty wild. That's pretty wild. I'm into it. But that's weird. That's wild how small they are. I forget who was it. Marcus. Marcus was one of the guys who's bred like Mabu puffers and a bunch of other ones. And we were talking with him, and he was saying that one of the big problems is just with how small they are when they hatch, and just how difficult it is to feed them. It's kind of wild that they actually are that small and have an egg sac, but the egg, or the yolk sac only lasted 48 hours. I wonder how much they change in size as the yolk sac goes down. Do they go from like 2 millimeters to 4 millimeters or something? Because that'd be kind of cool. That would be cool, but I don't know how much the yolk sac is doing for them. Most of the yolk sac fish I've dealt with in the past were like salmon. I did a ton of the salmon spawning and stuff when I was a kid. I'm from the Northwest. You got to spawn salmon if you're from the Northwest. If you're actually from the Pacific Northwest of the United States, you better spawn some salmon. If you're from here and you never spawned any salmon, it makes me question if you actually are from here. It would be like one of those in-depth questions you'd really have to ask somebody, From Preston, he says, I came across this old photo of my office when I first started getting into the fish and live foods and live foods food. Who knows what my boss thought of it? I do miss growing my own algae. And yeah, that really is one of those things. When you're doing infusoria and all that kind of stuff and producing your own green water, you do definitely end up doing some little experiments like this that you need to watch all the time and like always keep an eye on them. Yeah, I personally don't miss the days of having these little cultures and stuff in my office. I think I would rather just not have that stuff in my office, which is one of the reasons I've set up the office down here, because there's no way I'm going to set up a fish tank down here in the old basement. I'm not going to set it up in the basement. So one of the big upsides to doing it here is that. Although I literally was looking at a property earlier in Idaho online, and I have to admit, there was like one of the property I was looking at was like 3 acres, and it had like just a regularish house. It was in nice shape, had a nice roof, blah blah blah. Definitely needed updating and that kind of stuff. But the shop was the big deal to me, because the shop was 1,600 square foot shop, fully insulated, heated, dual phase power running to it, or triple phase power running to it. I'm not sure, but I remember it was fully powered, and I do look forward to the day of having an office on one side and the fish room on the other side, and all the stuff that I'm trying to do all the time all be in the same place. Someday that's going to happen. And yes, I probably am going to have to relocate from Western Washington to somewhere else in order to be able to afford that, because out here, like 3 acres of land around here with nothing on it can go for $300,000 easy. So I'm probably going to have to relocate. I'll probably have to relocate to like Arizona or New Mexico or something. Who knows, man? Who knows? I don't know where. I don't know where to go, but I'll figure it out. There's got to be a mountain in the background. That I have figured out has got to be my stipulation. Wherever I live, I have got to be able to see a giant mountain with ice on the top of it. You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be a mountain around that has a glacier on top or something. You know? It's a realistic expectation to have. There's lots of mountains in the world, you know? There's lots of mountains that have a frozen top. So, it's one of those things. It's one of those things about a mountain being high up in the air. It's pretty frozen up there. I don't know if you guys know about that, but now you do. Because I told you about it, because Freddy Krueger on Friday the 13th here. Ghosts and mountain stuff. Glaciers. Preston sends this in. I guess with this post, I should say, welcome to the Preston John Show. he went wild with his posts. He went wild with his posts, which is fine. I am not mad at that. It definitely gives us stuff to talk about, like ghosts and mountains and macrostomas that are breeding. He literally, I remember Preston was asking, like, what should I breed to do that would be difficult? And I remember people were like, beta macrostoma, and I was like, I know Preston's affinity for being able to breed stuff that is super difficult to breed. And I don't think beta macrostoma are really going to hit that mark, because I've bred them in the past, and I'm not even as good a breeder as Preston is. So, you know, I don't think that was going to push the difficulty for him. So I wasn't recommending those. And here's the evidence right here. He's got baby beta macrostomas. Now have little baby siblings. So that really just kind of goes to show you. I don't think that was a much of a challenge for somebody like Preston. Lexi V sends this one in. Says, this is how my pandas roll. No resting on the sand when you could be cradled in the Anubius of life. Oh, I added the of life myself. This leaf is their favorite. I mean, you look at that. Like, it's like a hammock. You know, it's like a hammock. It's like your own personal fish hammock. So, I mean, I respect that. I respect that game. I mean, if I had a hammock down here, I probably would chill in it too. But I'm not going to put a hammock up down here because I would end up chilling in it. You know what I mean? So, Bentley Pasco says, a former coworker keeps trying to get me to move to Kentucky. Actually, Vicky and I went out to Kentucky to visit my sister, whom lived there for probably the better part of like 8 years. And I think we went. Did we go twice? I think we went twice. I don't know. We went to Louisville. Oh, sorry, Louisville. How do they say it in Kentucky? They're like, it's not Louisville. You don't know. They go, it's Louisville. And you're like, yeah, Louisville? And they're like, no, Louisville. But I'll tell you this much. I don't know if I could live in a state where there's a bunch of cities named after French places, like Versailles, and they will literally, you would pretty much get in a fight with somebody where they will tell you that it's Versailles. So, you know, having said my own deficiencies in pronouncing things, I get it. I get it why it triggers people, because that kind of stuff bugs me. But I don't know every language in the world, man. So, you know, I just really try to do what I can. The weather is a no-go for Bentley. The weather seemed fine. I was happy with the weather and all that kind of stuff. It just, and I could probably live in Kentucky and not really have any problems or anything like that, but it just didn't feel right. But there definitely was a bunch of cool properties out there that would have been it would have felt like it was free to buy those if Vicky and I were to buy one of them, because there was like, oh, there's a giant warehouse here with property and stuff. How much is this for? This is $40,000. Wait, you own it? What? I'll tell you this much. There's a lot of middle areas in this country that are exceedingly affordable, and I think if they had the internet connection, like if they had fiber optic internet put in there, I'd be like, maybe I'm just going to move right now. But that's also one of the problems. They're like, we have dish here and no water. We're not really sure where you get water from. You're like, what? What is going on here? What's the deal? Like if I was to move to, for instance, Wenatchee, Washington, which is on the list, that's kind of one of the areas that Vicky and I are sort of looking at. If we were to move out there, electricity is like the cheapest in the United States in that county. What county is Wenatchee in? Douglas County? I think it's in Douglas County. Let me see. What? Ow, my finger. County is Wenatchee. Wenatchee, Washington is in Chelan County. Oh, man, I wouldn't have guessed that. I was guessing Douglas, but I was wrong. It's in Chelan County. Who'd have thunk it? I thought it was in Douglas. Oh, man, I used to be the arbiter of knowledge. Never, but I thought it was in Douglas County, but it turns out it's in Chelan County, elevation 780 feet. Named after the Wenatchee tribe. 31,925 in 2010, which I would guess is higher than that now. I would guess it's probably like 50,000 if I had to guess. But I do like it out there up the Okanagan-Wenatchee National Forest. It's a great spot. I mean, you got the mountain range behind you. There's a couple of highways that you can go up into the national forest fairly easily, whether it's Highway 2 or 97. I'm actually considering looking at some properties along Highway 97. Vicky and I went out and looked at one a while back when we were driving through there. Very amazing stuff going on out there in the old woods, but it was really nice, and get to be out there. And if you're in Chelan County, man, your electricity is the cheapest per kilowatt in all of the United States, which may or may not mean anything to anybody out there, but I mean, it's super cheap. The electricity, that is. Sunwise has got to go back to work. Sad face. It gave me the sad face. Whew. I didn't have a sad face before, but you're going back to work. That makes me unhappy. Oh, Sunwise had a post in here. I better... this stupid thing. Sunwise's post, I better get to it real quick. The power went out again. And the Medaka rice fish I got back in early November settled into the tank and are starting to ramp up egg making. I found 3 holding eggs this morning compared to the last week. Or maybe the power outage is like Medaka Berry White. I think that's science. I think that's science too. I think you're pretty accurate there on the old science factor. But yeah, those definitely with the rice fish and stuff, they definitely do spawn at kind of weird times and everything, which is another one of those reasons why they're such a good pond fish. They can handle those cold temperatures. I mean, there was probably 2 inches of ice on one of the rice fish ponds, and they were just in there cruising around doing their thing. Like, they did not care. I don't know how high the temperatures got in any of those tanks, but I know that they got pretty warm and they didn't mind either. So they're definitely a really cool fish, and I'm always happy to check them out. Oh my God, we got a new patron during the show. Nathan is a new Patreon on Friday the 13th. I don't know how to change the lyrics to that song. On Friday, a new Patreon came with Freddy Krueger's face, right? Nathan, a brand new patron, just came in during the show. And you know what, guys? I kind of freak out for that stuff. And I'll admit it. It's probably goofy, but I'm a goofy dude. And I appreciate it. Thank you so much for going over to Patreon and making an account and becoming a patron over there, man. It's hard to say, because even somebody at $1 a month is really supporting more than you know. Like, it seems like $1 a month is kind of nothing. And I think I was showing you guys earlier. Let me go. I think I have to go back here. Oh, I got to go back to scene 4. Isn't that what I have to do? Scene 4, and then where did my... Oh, that's my arrow. Where'd my screen capture area go? Did that delete itself? It may have deleted itself. If I go like this, add source, screen capture, smart selection. And let me just go like this. And I'll put it right here, and then I got to click the button. That's the joke thing. So you guys can see, like, I'm supporting... these are a bunch of the channels that I support via Patreon, like Fish for Thought. Like, I love that guy. He does some great fish tank videos, like the Fish Tank Nerd, Nisi of the North, like Ray's Aquaria, Aqua Pros, Pamela, Bentley, and then there's more, but I think it only shows those ones. But like, this is basically my favorite YouTube channel right here, Knowing Better. I definitely support that channel too. So I'm a Patreon of people too. So yeah, I believe in it enough that I literally support people too on Patreon. Oh, let me refresh this, because we had a post during the show, and I don't normally do that, but I got a chance to look at what it was ahead of time. Oh, yeah. Here's how Rumbus is keeping track. How do I keep track? I've actually got a counter on one of the screens on my phone. It's the easiest way I could think of. It allows me to find the number. He's literally keeps track with a counter on his phone. Here's me being a dingleberry down here. But he's literally got a counter on his phone that keeps track of how many days. I got to find out what counter that is. I could use that. I could use that one. And Preston actually sent in this post also. It says, my Tiger Lotus from the Aquarium Co-op is starting to flower again. It makes looking at this tank bearable. Cleaning it up is on the very long to-do list. Side note, if you look really hard, you can see lots of celebes. I don't know how to say celebes. I think that's how you say it. Right? Rainbow fry, they're almost as invasive in my tanks as the peacock gudgeons and the plecos, which my plecos are starting to become invasive, I think. I think they're starting to become invasive also. My guppy fish are not invasive yet, but they're doing great, thanks to Alyssa. Anyone that's not a current or future axe murderer is welcome to come catch and remove as many as you'd like. I might have to take up Preston on that one of these days, because I'm not a current or future axe murderer. We watch, and I'm not saying we watch. I'm saying that Victoria watches while I like email people and stuff on my phone, and like I go into the Discord and stuff on my phone while Vicky watches those murder shows. I just don't get her fixation behind it, but It just reminds me like how bad murder is. It's just like it's so bad. Like I know that it's bad, and I've always known consciously that it's a bad thing. But it's literally like they're recounting like these murder scenes, and it freaks me out. And I'm like, oh, how do you get to that point where you do that? Because it's not something that's in the front. I guess maybe it's something that's in the back of your mind. I don't know. Jeremy says it's pronounced celibate. Is it? Is it pronounced celibate? Celibate? I don't know. We'll figure it out. Barbara Jackson says February 3rd it will be 2 years for me. Woohoo! That is exciting. I like that. I like to hear that. Crash says today I just saw the red ADA Crips. Oh, those are red tiger spiralis. They don't have anything to do with ADA. So, like, they don't have anything to do with ADA. That I know of. Maybe they do. I don't know. But they're just Cryptocorini spiralis varietal tiger would be what you'd look up. Let me see here. And then we got the Bureau of Advanced Organic Pisces Culture. I don't know. Pissy culture? Oh, man. That probably got like 5 dislikes. People going to be mad if I say pissy culture. But no, Preston, I don't think it's a great name for the BAUP. The BAUP. I would think of a different name, personally. I think you're going to run into a lot of the pissy culture, right? I don't know. I'd have to look that up if there's a way to say that so it's not like that, but I don't know. I'm kind of dumb, so, what I've learned about the specific Tetraodon duboisii so far, a team player, a.k.a., will happily eat other type of fish you add to the tank. Will just happily eat all the other fish. Part 2 would be the color change. Can change its color in the blink of an eye from very light to almost black, which is a traumatic thing. The first time you've ever seen your puffer turn all super dark, it's super traumatic. It'll freak you out. Yeah. And then number 3, they're active. Although it can sit on the bottom without any movement, it spends most of the time actively swimming around with that huge tail, which I have to admit is impressive. This is an impressive puffer, to say the least. I really hope that this part down here at the bottom becomes true. It says he has 2 more flying in to join the Preston Puffer Union, and I'm excited to see if they have the same personality or are something new. Cross your fingers that you'll have both sexes, and my fingers are crossed. If you could start breeding these, I mean, my hat's off to you, brother. That's like, if you're just going to be like that breeding gangster guy who's just like, oh yeah, I could just breed rocks. Give me some rocks. I'll get him to breed. Zen Ginger says Pisces, like the horoscope, Pisces culture. Okay. Like the pissy culture? I think Trump's into the pissy culture. Oh, Trump supporters are going to be mad that I said that. But I don't know. If you're supporting that guy, I don't really know what to tell you. That it's not good. If that's what you're doing, it's not good. But that's all of our posts for today. So let's go ahead and close the window region, and let's talk about the video in the background with the stupid red line in the middle. And I'm sorry about that, guys. I'm gonna have to swap some cables and figure out some stuff here after the show, but I really can't go swapping it around at this point. Oops. What did I do? Oh, I right-clicked everything. There we go. Make sure we're still live here. Yep, still live. Okay. Jeremy Morrell says, "Oh gosh, Pam, is the Darkstar Aquatics website still a thing?" Darkstar Arts is my website. I have a bunch of art and writing and stuff up on there. It hasn't really been updated, but we're in the works of updating that at some point. We're going to migrate it to a different server and all that kind of stuff. But of course, that stuff takes forever. Crash says, Corvus Oscen, that's important. If you really want to stop smoking, vaping isn't the way. You have to quit smoking without touching anything else. Yeah, I mean, everybody has an opinion on stopping or quitting or doing whatever. I don't know. I could give people advice on how to quit heroin and how to quit drinking about a gallon of whiskey a day. But I've been to enough 12-step meetings that I've learned to not tell people how to quit anything. Vaping has worked for me. So, if somebody's smoking cigarettes, it's better to be vaping than it is to be smoking cigarettes. So it's an improvement. That's the way I look at it. It's an improvement on a bad habit. And the thing about cigarettes is you can't just get lower nicotine cigarettes, but with vaping, I work my way down on the nicotine level on a regular basis. So eventually I'm going to quit. But yeah, I've been to enough meetings and I've been sober for 2,040 days that I know to not just tell people there's only one way to either be sober or quit smoking or quit drinking or quit any of that stuff. Yeah. So, and yes, I quit smoking cigarettes about 10 years ago when I had a collapsed lung. I had what's called a pneumothorax. I spent 2 weeks in the ICU. I spent 3 months recovering from it. I wasn't supposed to go back to work for 6 months. I wasn't allowed to go back to work, but luckily I was either going to be homeless or work, and my boss let me go back to work. So I went back to work after 11 weeks, which I wasn't supposed to go back to work. And I did that. So I've basically been died. I've been dead from that. From literally what will probably kill you from smoking, which is not being able to breathe. And yeah, I quit smoking for about 7-8 months, and then I was back on it again. So you got to do what you got to do to get through life, and that's all I'm doing, and vaping's working for me. I haven't smoked since Olivia was born, which is a year and over 14 months. Yeah, like 14 months ago. So yeah. Let's see. Terry's Tropical Tank says, my wife loves Discovery ID. I swear she's doing research. If I ever stop posting stuff, call the police. That last protein skimmer pushed her over the edge. I tell you, it's either like it's either lights or like a protein skimmer is a perfect example. It's like you spent $500 on a protein skimmer. Like a good protein skimmer is going to be like $500. So it's always something like that spouses just can't wrap their mind around, that you're like, well, it's the best piece of equipment to do the thing I needed to do. So everybody's got to try and like figure out their happy medium with stuff. But I almost think that Vicky sometimes is just researching on like how these people get caught, and then she'll be like, I'll never get caught because now I know how every murderer was ever caught. But she's gonna get caught if she kills me, because I don't know. I'm just assuming, and I just hope that she'll never kill me. So, wet up to my armpits, Johnson says, I've smoked and had spontaneous pneumothorax as well twice. Ooh. Vapor is a good way to wean. People should not judge. Yeah, it's just kind of the thing, like, you know, that's the thing. Like, there isn't one way to quit everything. That's literally all I was just trying to convey there. You know, vaping is a tool to quit, just like the gum or the patch or the drops or whatever. There's like a million cessation things or whatever. I'm off the cigarettes, so like if I don't vape for a day or two or three or whatever, it's really not that big of a deal. I'll tell you this much: it was all the chemicals in the cigarettes that had me really hooked in. Because I was freaking out when I quit smoking cigarettes, and that was really like irrational, like, oh, I remember this. Yeah. And wet up to my armpit says that freaking chest tube hurts like hell, and I will agree. When they take it out, it's freaky. When you have a chest tube and they remove it, that still gives me the heebies thinking of them like yanking that thing out, because it was like, oh, so gross. So gross. But the plant back here that I'm working with is the Amannia gracilis that I actually got from Aquarium Co-op. I literally took it out of their tank and put it in my I put it in the little tea bags that they use now for shipping, which, by the way, those tea bags are awesome possum. I would, if I were you and you've never ordered anything from Aquarium Co-op, I would almost just go on there and order a plant just so you could see what the tea bag inside the plastic bag is like. It is just hashtag game changer as far as shipping plants. I got to admit, that's just, it's so cool. I'm going to make a video when I send some plants out to Preston and Shelby Ray. I'm going to be sending some plants out to them at some point in time. I'm thinking I'm just going to do it right after the beginning of the year and call it late Christmas, because I owe those guys big time some sticks. I got their sticks out there, and I'm really kind of gathering up the plants to ship those out, so I can ship some weird stuff that they've probably never seen in person, but hopefully the weird stuff that doesn't die. You know what I mean? Like, I could send out some really rare weird stuff that will just probably die while it's in the mail, but I don't want to do that. I'm sending out stuff I'm going to send out stuff that's nice and converted. I'm going to make a video about it after the new year, which I think will be pretty fun, because I've got some parts of it already made. Well, not made, but filmed, so it should be cool. But this Amannia gracilis back here, we went through the conversion process with, basically you get these plants in from the farms. This thing's going to be bright green. It's basically going to be bright green like, let me get my arrow out here, guys. Ooh, arrow to the face. It's going to be bright-ish green like this, in between here and here, these green colors that you're kind of seeing here, right? And then eventually it's going to grow in to its submerged form under some nice light and a little CO2 and some decent substrate. And it's going to be this kind of yellow-tipped with red in the center. Yellow-tipped, or orangish red. Orangish red transitioning to yellow, whatever that is. Orangish. Where's Freddy Krueger? It's Friday the 13th. Come on now. You're going to have that red in the center, and then it's going to kind of transition out to a lighter color, whether it be orange or yellow, whatever you want to call it. And but those green leaves are going to be completely gone. As you guys will notice at the beginning of this video, as it's been playing in the background, I pulled most of these plants out, almost all of them, trimmed off the base at the split node, right? So there's a part in the video here, and let's see if we can't find it. Considering the video is about to restart. There's only about 10 seconds into it. So let me see. There is a spot where I showed the camera. I do recall that. I pulled a plant out, and I showed the camera. Maybe this is the one. Let's give it a little pause, guys. Boosh. There we go. Sorry about that red line. I'm not going to be able to get rid of that until Monday's show, I guess. It's so goofy. Get out of here, red line. I wish I could delete it. Anyhow, so a little node right here. So you can see these greener leaves, right? You can see those green leaves. And then you can see how this stem right here has split off and grown up. And then this is the main original stem right here. That's basically where you're going to find what's I refer to as the node. I'm probably 100% wrong in what I'm calling it. There's like a, what is it? The sphagium or whatever. I can't remember now. But I call it the node, which is where it's going to split. Now, that's where I trim right there. And then this piece right here becomes its own stem. And then this stem becomes its own piece also with these roots attached. There's going to be some roots attached to this new stem that I just made that is actually the old stem. I'm going to replant this old stem right here into the substrate. It'll throw roots, and it'll only grow in the submerged form after that. This piece that has broken off and gone off to the side here with the roots on it, I'll put a plant weight and put it into a holding tank that will allow it to mature in a holding tank in an area where it's not going to be in a display. This is really one of those things, and here we go. I'm going to actually split it by hand, just like that. So it's fairly simple. You don't even need tools to do it. It's not something that you need, you don't even need fancy scissors or anything like I regularly use those ones I got from Seachem. Is that right? Seachem? Yeah. I got those, and then but you don't even really need those tools. You can do a lot of this stuff by hand. Just use your hands. I don't know if anybody has ever noticed in any of my videos, I normally keep my thumbnail slightly long. It's not very pronounced or anything like that, but I use my thumbnail to trim and break plants all the time. It's maybe a 1/16 of an inch, right? Really all you need. I mean, the rest of my fingernails are all pretty short. They're a little long right now, but everything else is pretty short. But I use this thumbnail all the time to like pinch plants and cut them, down in the tank. Because a lot of times that's kind of the easy way to do it is get your hand down in there, feel where you're at, and then utilize that. So I don't know. I'm not saying grow your thumbnail long like me or anything, but you know what I'm saying. That's just something that I do because it's just how I go through my thing. Sam Malone says, Joel, the Metro women's medicine is working. Now I'm confused. I'm going to need an explanation, but that's a $2 super chat, so hopefully somebody can help me out. The Metro women's medicine. I'm drawing a blank. I wish I wasn't drawing a blank right now, but I'm on that cold medicine right now. I took some of that Dayquil because boy howdy was I like, had some boogers and I was coughing earlier because of this cold, but it's not that bad, honestly. I didn't really need to take NyQuil, but if I was going to get up here and talk for an hour and a half to 2 hours, I was like, man, I'm going to be coughing into the mic and blowing my nose and stuff and driving people crazy. So, yeah. Tom Patterson is asking, is that Hygrophila araguaia? And it is not. It is not. This is Ammonia gracilis. This is an easy plant that most anybody could grow. I do have Hygrophila araguaia, and I will be doing a video on that, and it might be a couple weeks or something like that to give you guys kind of a breakdown on that one. Oh yeah, Jake D reminding me there the metronidazole. Metronidazole. And yes, now I remember. So the metronidazole women's yeast medicine is working. Oh, you didn't have to super chat again. Thanks, man. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the super chat support. And thanks for the callback. Yeah, I looked that up and like it just immediately was like, hey, that's That's a feminine support medicine, which obviously is an additive, but I'd never used it by that name, so it's pretty funny. I do have to admit. But yes, now I remember. Antibacterial. It's used to treat a wide variety of infections. It works by stopping the growth of certain bacteria and parasites. This antibiotic treats only certain bacterial and parasitic infections. It will not work for viral infections, such as the common cold or the flu. Yes, and it turns out, that's the medical name for it. I've never claimed to be a doctor, and I'm not a huge guy of using a ton of medications on a regular basis. I use the Med Trio from Aquarium Co-op, but my focus is good clean water, good food for the critters, and 99% of the time you're going to do quite well after the quarantine period. It's definitely one of those things that was kind of reaffirmed while I was in Europe, is that, most of the big breeders and fish wholesalers and stuff like that, and even hobbyists and everybody that we talked to, it was sort of on the, like when I was in Europe with Corey, it was one of the things that he was really interested in at the time was to find out what medications people were using. And we pretty much ran into a wall of like, oh, I don't really use medications. I just keep my fish healthy the healthy way, right? So that really is, that really is one of those things that I focus on, is just maintaining a really, really as healthy of an environment as I can. And, I don't have 100% success rate with that, but from the crystal shrimp to the beta breeding and the, kind of all the other fish I bred and stuff like that, it's definitely been the more fruitful route is quarantine, and then get them in the healthiest environment that I can create as a human, and it seems to go pretty well. Sam Malone, I know I recognize Sam Malone, especially because of the fact that I emailed him. I responded to your email earlier, and where's my email over here? I don't know. Let me see. I'll have to get it open. I want sign in. Next. Yes. Oh. Yeah, so I responded to Sam. I responded to your email earlier, so I would check that out. Thank you for the super chat. He's asking, do I still paint and sell my paintings online? It's very occasionally. And I guess maybe I can give a better explanation than even the email I replied earlier, is that yes, I've done a lot of murals, I've done a lot of paintings, I've done a lot of fine art, I've painted a lot of buildings, houses, all sorts of stuff. I'm fairly versed with proper paint techniques and that kind of stuff. I don't really sell them online that much anymore. I do have some paintings, and I might do a small show. I might do some paintings again at any kind of point in time. But I think the problem is that the general public find it either offensive or rude or something when I explain to them how much it's going to cost to make a painting. So I don't do that anymore. Not very often. It's pretty rare. I did a painting quite a while ago that probably took, well, it was two different versions, so 2 canvases, all the paint, all that kind of stuff, and probably 40 hours of work, right? And I ended up essentially getting compensated at $10 an hour. And then minus cost. So materials, once you take the materials out and stuff like that, I think I made about $6 an hour. So yeah, I cannot sustain life that way. I could go work at McDonald's down the street and make at least twice that. Just mopping the floor, you know? So that's just not a sustainable way to keep my daughter alive, pay my mortgage, you know. So when I talk to people about like just how much a piece of art is going to cost, if I'm like, yeah, it's probably going to cost about $2,200 to do that. It's going to take a month, blah, blah, blah. They're like, no, that's way too much money. I'll go to Target and buy something for $99. And that's more often than not, that's how those conversations go. And I don't like having those conversations that much, really. I mean, because it really chews up a lot of time, like having to explain to people why your art is valuable, you know? So, you know, and it basically put, I was answering the questions from Patreon earlier and stuff. Like, it's more valuable for me to spend my time making a new YouTube video to help people out with their aquarium stuff that they're hopefully trying to find they're trying to find some kind of answer or remedy or something like that. In reality's sake, you can go look at Patreon right now. It's a public forum that, you know, I'm gonna make, like, once you take like take 400 out of it for taxes, about $250 a week. So that's like $6 an hour. Now I go out into the field 3 days a week also, to actually make a lot more money than that, to swing a hammer, to fix people's electrical, do drywall. I don't do roofs anymore. I'm too old for that. I don't do roofing. And I'm not competitive in the pricing of roofing either. So, but yeah, I do plumbing, electrical, all that kind of stuff. I have a small handyman company, basically. So it really, you know, it's one of those things that there are, you know, it's not a great time to be just explaining to people why your art has a monetary value to it, right? And that is, and honestly, like, it's depressing, it's stressful, and then, you know, like, people think that you're arrogant, they think this, they think that, they don't understand. And it's like, you know, if you live in the middle of Ohio and somebody like me, you're like, hey, I want to get a painting, and somebody like me is like, well, that's like $3,000. And you're like, oh, I live in Ohio, and that's, you know, 4 months of cost of living. You're like, what's with this guy? He wants a Lamborghini or something. And I'm like, I live in a pretty expensive area, and I do plan on moving from here, but we haven't yet. So, I don't know. Maybe if there's some way that my labor can become super cheap someday. I don't know. Terry's Tropical Tanks with a big ol' super chat. He says, I'll probably never Patreon, but I have found your info on sumps to be invaluable. I'm not a plant guy, but the other info you give out is pretty awesome as well. Hashtag show the sumps. I am, Terry, here's the deal. I would love to do more sump videos. I am actually doing some sump work here coming up at some point in time. But I'm trying to get a company that makes sumps to not necessarily like make me a bunch of free sumps or anything like that, but somebody that's willing to work on designing a sump for a planted aquarium or even just a freshwater aquarium, because there's just not that many freshwater aquarium sumps that exist in production that are even a reasonable price. I know that I think there's a really good one out there, but it's like $1,200, and that's just not tenable for very many people. That's not even tenable for me. I save the extra production money, and I spend it on, products to make the show and stuff. But $1,200, I don't know if I'm ever going to hit that mark, even trying to save up for production of YouTube videos and stuff. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but I'm trying to get some companies, and we shall see. We shall see what happens. 50-50. I'm feeling like it's a 50-50, but I might be overzealous saying that it's 50-50. Or over-optimistic. There we go. Not overzealous. Let me see. Tori says, I can't wait to start playing with sumps myself. Yeah, I mean, it really is, I don't even give the advice. I give the advice just out of like pure confidence on people utilizing sumps. You get it plumbed correctly, you get it installed correctly. It does a lot of beneficial things for the average human to be able to maintain their aquariums a lot easier, a lot more effectively. Healthy water is important, as I mentioned earlier. Like, I'm not super versed in dosing tons of chemical medication, even though I have done a lot of that in the past. I'm not great at just immediate recall, and I have lots and lots of notes on medications, but I don't even really make videos about medicating aquariums because, and it's sort of like the art thing earlier, is that I would personally spend a ton of time explaining to you people's medication that I don't manufacture, I don't make it, I don't have anything to do with those companies, and I would literally be doing their job for them, to be like telling you about why this medication, how to dose it, how to utilize it, blah 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 blah, all that kind of stuff. And like, it sounds mean, but like, I'm not a veterinarian, so I can't even prescribe a lot of the medications. With the Discord, I'm able to help out people. We're able to like come up with a good game plan and stuff. If somebody's fish is unhealthy, we can look at pictures. We can ask a back and forth of like what's going on with the tank, like what's been happening, what have you been feeding, what's da-da-da-da, and kind of sort things out. But it's real difficult with the way that YouTube works to just be like, yeah, give them the metronidazole, or whatever. And yeah, and that's another reason why I don't really make those videos, is like I would spend a ton of time explaining to people like, oh no, you gave 2 milligrams when it should have been 3 milligrams. That's not enough, Reaver says they do tend to be more of a midwater fish, although they do have a slightly upturned mouth. Definitely do eat plants. They lay a beating on most of my stem plants. What do we got? You need Lorenzo de Medici as an art patron. Yeah, that's a good point. Zen Ginger says roofing and tiling is a young person's job. That's true. Although I do like bathroom tile and kitchen tile and stuff. I love doing tile work. That is a good time for me. I like that. Tile grout. That's fun. But yes, it's super hard. It will F up your back. That's for sure. You will ruin your back doing that. Let's see. Do I use Seachem Excel in order to keep my algae under control? No. I only use it as a last ditch effort if blackbeard algae gets way out of hand, which typically just like moving either the light or whatever the BBA is growing on out of that really direct light, you'll be pretty good. And Terry with that $10 super chat says, I'll probably never be a Patreon, but I have found your info on sumps. You don't have to be a Patreon. You could actually join on YouTube if you like. If you want to join the membership on YouTube, you can. Some people don't want to leave the platform that they're on. But if you are super chatting, that means that you've already put your information into YouTube. You can hit the join button and it's like $5 a month reoccurring charge. Or you could be super fancy, because YouTube kept emailing me about adding more tiers. So I was like, well, I could add a $10 tier or a $20 tier or whatever. So no, I added a $100 tier and a $50 tier, because I'm like, hopefully this will stop the YouTube from sending me emails nonstop about adding more tiers to my join button thing. So I put those in there, and we have one of each. We have one producer, and we have one enthusiast at $50 and $100 a month, and that's Corey from Aquarium Co-op, who has always been super supportive and is a sponsor of the show. And the enthusiast sponsor wants to remain anonymous-ish, so I'm not going to bring him up. But I appreciate it big time. That's more than... I mean, that's the reality. I've always been pretty straightforward with the monetization stuff, and if people have been asking, and they want to know like how much money do you make off YouTube or whatnot, and it realistically, at the rate that I'm at with 25,000 subscribers, I average between 60 and 100,000 views a month or whatever. It's like $300. So, and then you take taxes out, which is a monumental rate, because I own my own company. It's like 39%, and then I get a portion of that back, hopefully, at the end of the year. But yeah, it's a lot of taxes, and if it wasn't for Patreon and people hitting the join button and stuff, I don't know that I would be able to make YouTube videos anymore, honestly. Terry says, I've been a member twice, but some months get lean. Yeah. So, hey, I understand how that goes. People got to come, people got to go, and I would never encourage anybody to be paying out like their baby food money to anybody that's making anything. Like if you're that thin, if you're that lean, then hey, don't worry about that stuff. Like I said, I go out into the field and work 3 days a week, super long ass days, but in order to make sure that all the bills are paid and stuff. So Zen Ginger says, I can afford it now, but the minute my monthly fish budget suffers, these memberships are out. That's a good point. Zen Ginger said, yeah, I meant floor tiling, like down on the ground. My husband hated it. Yeah, laying floor tile is exceptionally difficult, especially on really big jobs. I mean, if you're doing floor tile like in a 200 square foot room or something, that's not that bad. That's not that big of a deal. But if you're like on a commercial job laying tile, like get out of here. Yeah, you'll be destroyed after a couple years. BBA is a nightmare. Treat them with Seachem Excel. Dose direct to the infested area with a syringe. Yep. I can afford it now. All right. Getting pretty caught up. Derek Runyon says, come over and help me out with my bathroom and kitchen. Yeah, I'm for hire. Most people don't. The average person thinks that my rate is high until they call other companies and realize, like, wow, that's really affordable. So, but most of my days are booked now, so I don't really encourage people to be like, hey, man, come paint my back door for me. So, because I'm pretty booked up now, and I can give people like a quote like, yeah, I'll be there in 3.5 months. They're like, oh, man. But it's busy everywhere out here, Western Washington, that's for sure. If you own a small construction business and can afford it, you should definitely get a crew out in Western Washington because they're all booked. Terry's Tropical Tank says you should try DeWalt for a sponsor. Tools are a need. If you think I haven't talked with DeWalt about sponsoring the show, you'd be mistaken. But trust me when I say that is on the list. There's potentially a tool company that might come in and sponsor a project at some point. And that is just vague enough to let you know. Yeah, I've literally gone outside of the fish community to try and find sponsorship, for the makerspace. I've petitioned a bunch of people. We have somebody that helps me with petitioning those companies, who is maybe at some point will become a public person, but it's basically email petitioning, talking with those guys, figuring out what's going on. We've definitely gone outside the circle of aquarium companies, because I'm going to be honest with you, like most of the aquarium companies don't have any kind of budget to do anything. And even the big companies that I've spoken to, like they're more happy to spend their money like on a magazine spread for whatever reason than my idea, I guess. I guess it's my idea. I don't know. So, my husband and I laid 1-foot porcelain tiles in a 500 square foot apartment. Pain in the rear, but also kind of fun. But I'll hire out now. I'm too old now. Yeah, that's kind of how it goes. When you got youth on your side, you can do that kind of stuff. I'm getting to the point now. There's certain jobs I'm like, I physically don't need the pain. I just can't go through the pain. And there's probably like a 22-year-old that's like rearing to do it and is ready to go. So, yeah. Do. How many members do we have on the join button? I should look that up real quick. How many members? Oh, we lost some members. So people got mad. 71. We have 71 members on YouTube, and we've lost some members. We never hit that 100. I thought we'd hit 100 members, but we never did. I don't know. I thought we would, but we never did. But we got 257 patrons and 71 members, which you add that up, dude. That's like 300 something math. 300 and 22? Is that right? 28. 328. Wait. Yeah? Yeah, 328 people. I just kind of put it this way, like if let's say we had a fish club meeting and 328 people were showing up to it, I'm like, dude, that's amazing. So we're doing good. So I feel like we're doing good, and I'm happy. I'm happy with our rate of engagement, I guess, is what the nerds would say. If you haven't lived until you hump shingles up a ladder to a roof, yeah, that's living. That's just the worst. Justin Woody says, in the early 2000s, I was redoing the house on Queen Anne. Oh, man. If you're not local and you don't know Queen Anne Hill, ooh. As Microsoft employees were moving in and changing the bungalows that were there, I tell you, I saw a listing for one of the old bungalow houses on Queen Anne. And this was even a year ago, so it's probably even higher. It's probably even higher than it was then. But it really is like it really is one of those crazy things about the it is one of those crazy things that it was $1.2 million for a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom bungalow house. I think it had a little tiny garage, and it was like maybe 1,100 square foot house on a little tiny lot on Queen Anne Avenue. Or Queen Anne Hill. I don't think it was on Queen Anne Avenue, but $1.2 million for that house. I think it was built in like the 40s. So you're not talking about a fancy house or anything like that. Los Perrin del Rey. Oh, no. I read that wrong. Los Perros del Rey. Says, how much does a plumber make up in your area for the hourly wage? Now, that really depends, you know. If you're doing new construction, but it also depends. Are you journeyman or whatnot? It really depends, but it would not be out of the realm to be making 35 to 45 an hour up here if you're a good plumber. I think hourly rate for businesses is like $185 an hour. If you're a business owner to charge, I think it's like $185, something like that. I do know that most contracting teams now, if you send out handyman type dude like me, like a general, it's like $1,500 a day. Generally, most companies charge that now. Obviously, I charge less because I'm just a one man band. But yeah, the rates are pretty high. I would have to look them up, so don't necessarily quote me on that. But it's about, I know that most of the, remodel repair companies are charging about $1,500 a day. I know electricians are at that rate. Plumbers are a little bit cheaper. So, but yeah, it's right around there, something like that. But if you're like like for electricians, low voltage guys aren't making that much. I mean, they're making good wage, but you'd want to be a full journeyman if you moved up to Western Washington, and I'd say you'd probably it would be pretty easy to find a gig that's real good. I mean, talking like you'd probably 120 a year pretty easily, stuff like that, because it's busy and everyone is booked, and the rates just keep going up because everyone's booked. And the sad fact of the matter is like everyone is just booked, and everyone's having to raise their rate to just kick bad customers out, basically. I do know that one of the companies, I was talking with one of the guys who runs a big company up here, and they almost lost their, because they had subcontracted electricians, and they've been using them for years and years, and they almost lost them because the guys were just like, look, we've had a set rate for you for a long time, but we might just have to leave because everybody else's rate's so high. Let's see. Justin Woody says you could paint the house while standing on the neighbor's roof. Yeah, the Queen Anne is super steep hill. That's one thing that I don't think people realize about the Pacific Northwest is like there are hills everywhere here. It's kind of funny because when I was in the Netherlands, everybody rides a bicycle around, but it's flat, you guys. It's flat everywhere. There's no, and I'll tell you this much. If I lived in the Netherlands, it's 50-50 whether I don't own a car or not. Just depends on what I was doing, but I would definitely be riding my bike everywhere too. Barbara Jackson says electrical work is spendy. Yep, it adds up super fast too. Do build custom aquarium installs in homes in your area? The local ones in my area in Central Texas charge a premium and are always booked. I have done some custom installs. I never really jumped into that market too much because and to be honest with you guys, there is a company here, which I'm not going to name. I don't want to make anybody super pissed, but there's a local company here that has custom aquariums installed all over the place. They are like everywhere. And the reality is that I would have been competing with that company, and I didn't really have a customer base to be like, all right, let me make this into a full-time business. But it has crossed my mind, and it is something that I want to do with the YouTube channel is try and do a couple of custom installs a year around the U.S. or the world, depending on if we can get a budget or somebody to sponsor it, because that's that's one of the things, is that it really does cost a lot of money to go somewhere, to set up the tank, to get all this stuff, to go there to film it, blah blah blah. And I was talking with Chris Lucup about possibly doing something like that, and we had the idea, and we kind of shopped it a little bit, and I think he's been doing some of that a little bit in Germany, but we never could find anybody to really sponsor it. So maybe there will be a company like DeWalt Tools that wants to sponsor something like that, and we'll see if it works out. But it's something I'm definitely open to, and if there's a private person that wants to go to the Patreon and be like the 15 grand thing, they could always do that. But I've always told people to kind of pump the brakes. If you are that super rich person that wants to do a project like that, just email me and let me know. Or just go to Patreon and do the 15 grand thing and go nuts. You could always put your custom amount in there, but 15 grand a month is the most you can do. If Jeff Bezos is listening to this show and really wants to sponsor, get it done, buddy. Get it done. But, yeah. Let's see. It's boring here in the Netherlands. Ruben, I don't think it was that boring. I think it was just flat. Like, the ground was just really flat, I will admit. There's not a lot of hills and stuff like that, but as I was told, you could definitely, you don't have to drive that far to go find some hills and stuff, It's not all that super difficult to go find some hills and mountains and stuff out there. I mean, you can just drive to Germany, I mean, it's kind of the wild thing about being in Europe, is you realize that just how close everything is together. It's really not that far. So, I mean, you could just drive to Switzerland, if you needed to. All right, guys. Well, we are coming up on the 2-hour mark, and I just got to get out of here. But I want to give a big shout-out to Nathan for joining up on Patreon today. Thank you very much. 55 likes. That seems deficient. We're supposed to do the like spike thing or whatever. Like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hit the like button. But thank you to Rumbus, a Fish Tank Barn, Sam Malone 3 times, brother, and Terry's Tropical Tanks for your super chats today. Very much appreciate that. As you guys know, it just goes back into making more YouTube videos, and I can't stress that enough. Like, the whole reason I would want to get anything funded is to be able to do the projects that I want to do, that I think y'all want to do. And did I change my thing here? What am I doing? And that I think pretty much everybody wants to do. And, I think we're all pretty much in agreement with that. Oh, I forgot to close this thing. Oh, I can scroll up. There we go. So it's just there we go. It's just $1 a month. Blah. It's like a commercial. But I'm the only one that does commercials for myself, so sorry. But, that's where we're at today, and thanks to everybody for your super chats. Thank you, Nathan, for Patreon. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, all right. I'm getting hoarse. I got to go find some coffee.